Hello everyone, this is Caecilius and I'm back at it again with another review. This time I'm reviewing Hammerwatch 2. Before I get into the review of Hammerwatch 2, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be notified as I go live with content, and let's get on into this. So, what is Hammerwatch 2? Hammerwatch 2 is kind of an old school kind of action RPG, and it's published by Modus Games and developed by Crackshell. Now, there's a lot to go into this game, and before we get into that, let's break down the five categories how we review a game. The first category I'm going to break into is graphics and aesthetics. So, the graphics of the game is a solid pixel art. I really do enjoy it. Aesthetically, it does maintain that old school D&D, old school kind of Diablo-esque kind of art style where everything is, pixelated, top down. You punch your monsters here and there. It works out pretty solid, but it's solid. It's very similar to their first game. It was, I would say, slightly better than Hammerwatch One, but I'm gonna give it. I did enjoy looking at it at least as much as I can, but I'll give it a solid three. It's good. It's serviceable. It feels like parts of it could be better, but nothing kind of too over the top. It just kind of fits in what it does. Graphically, aesthetically, it's also there too. So let's get on with that. So the next thing I want to talk more about this action RPG is talk about how the game sounds and the sound effects. Musically, it wasn't that kind of gripping to me. The sound effects are pretty okay, and nothing of it also kind of stand out in my opinion. I felt like I was kind of just going through it. No track kind of made me go, "Oh, I'm getting into it." Hit that sauce, but it was just good enough. So I'm also gonna have to give it a three. Nothing of it was like, I'm digging it. I'm loving it. Like it's just serviceable. Nothing too over the top. And let's get into the meat and potatoes of this entire thing. We're going to talk about the gameplay of this game. Okay. So we're going to talk about the gameplay. I'm going to talk about how this is an upgrade in a different direction from the first game, Hammerwatch 1. So in Hammerwatch 1, when you played Hammerwatch, you essentially queue up, you land in a dungeon, you and a couple of friends, other randos online, go punch stuff, get loot, win the game, pick your class, etc. Right? This one is more of a concentrated adventure where there's multiple campaigns and there's also modded campaigns the community can make in the future. So this is much more of an experience that way, where you and your friends have to coordinate with each other online doing it. It doesn't really have the pick up and play of it, which is fine. That's perfectly a okay. Gameplay wise, it seems like majority of the classes I was able to play, at least try and get a feel about, generally have the same archetype: a range attack, a dodge attack, a close attack, and a special attack. And that costs, they have a stamina and MP meter. Some attacks cost stamina, some attack cost MP, which is fine. You get to make your build and play what you want, and kind of different characters with the four like Abden and etc. You get just a character stronger. You can craft items. You can pick up items you loot. It's pretty much, I would say, like your looter. I would say like ARPG looter system. Now the thing about the game that kind of makes it difficult, at least to enjoy in some aspects, these little downgrades, is that the UI is not the greatest when playing on pad. So this game has full pad support, not like partial pad or anything. And how using, like I have to click button for my potions or go into my UI to equip something or look at something I pick up, whatever. It wasn't that great. There was a little bit too much menus in there, which I did not was a fan of. I think that was a bit too much for my tasting. I think that was you should cut it down a little bit more. Secondly, I felt like there was a lot of content in the game that you could kind of like put out more because compared to the first games I described, we'll pick up and play. This one's a more concentrated adventure. You and your homies, or hopefully, I don't know if people play those randos online, will have to go to each town, solve their quests, punch a bunch of monsters, do a couple of dungeons, sell your loot, etc., get it done. Now that could be a bit daunting or a tax because again, you're looting it up. You boot up, blah blah. You go to place A, blah blah blah, point B, blah blah blah, point C. It doesn't really kind of gel at some points. Like some points of the game just feels like a low. At some parts, it really feel like a high. So the gameplay, it feels like a very like riding tide. It's not consistent. Like there's some parts of the game like when you're trying to find the town or explore, that's kind of a bit of a low. You pick up items, but then you find your first quest to get there. You pick up, and then you get to your dungeons and fighting the bosses and the mini bosses. That's the high, and you kind of go through within it all the time. It doesn't really feel that great. I think the best part that I enjoy is mostly the combat and the bosses in the dungeons. Those are the best part of the game. And for that overall, I gotta give the gameplay a solid 3. Now the thing is that I had both experiences playing with people and I played a bit by myself. By yourself, this game, it's not a lot in going for it, because if you're playing your standard solo ARPG stuff, a game is not as quick or snappy as the other games. It does feel like a slog to get through stuff, and though they have multiple classes you can play with, a lot of them do feel a bit samey in certain aspects, which that's, dealer's choice. But if you play with people, it feels a bit better, and that's what the core of this. But playing with those people, especially how people, again, coordinating with people in video games is a lot harder than it is in certain aspects. So you have to coordinate with your friends. This is not a game you could pick up and play with randos online and hope for the best. So I'll leave it as that, at least so far. I think that the gameplay loop is kind of good at what it does. It does pretty things interesting, and the leveling system between Abdent, Expert, and Master are interesting. You could mix and blend abilities, put them together, but it doesn't really feel as much because again, how the tide is, the rising tide. It's like, oh boy, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, and that's about it. So overall, the gameplay is a solid 3. This is a game that it's a game that does more what it is, and well, does more than what it is, and since like it's trying to do more in its space, where instead of just focusing a little bit on the core, because this game has a lot, like it's a buffet of food, but sometimes you just want the chicken. That's how I feel about this game. This game's a buffet of stuff. But let's talk about what I'm going to rate this game in the end. Let's talk about the final score. So, the final score of the game is, let's talk about it. The game has a decent multiplayer. Netcode's cool. The story is okay. It's a huge improvement from Hammerwatch 1, but also loses some of the aspects that I enjoyed about Hammerwatch 1, which is the pick up and playability of it. As well as it removes a lot of, I would say, it adds more complexities to it, and it isn't the really greatest UI when using pad to map out, I would say, item usage or etc. Like there was a lot of times that I had to tell my homies I was playing with, be like, hey guys, can you wait for a second? I have to hit the pause button, use this to use an apple to heal myself. Oh great, yeah. Oh wait, give me a sec. I have to make sure the potion is mapped to the right button so I can use the potion to heal myself. Though it has a lot of cool systems such as crafting mechanics and collection looting, it just feels a lot of it's tacked on something that should keep it more simple. I'm hoping that they make a Hammerwatch 3 or some DLC for the game. They really lean it down. So that's why I give this game a 3. It's a good direction from the first game, but it went a different direction from the first game, and it added way too much sauce. I felt they could have slimmed it down and make it a much enjoyable experience. I personally recommend picking this game with a couple of friends when it's maybe on a Steam sale in the future, or if you guys are really got into the Baldur's Gate hype and you're like playing RPGs with each other, this could be in that alley if you love playing co-op RPGs and you can plan that with your friends. Other than that, I think it's a decent experience. Definitely looking forward to the next project. Let's see how much they learn, because this is an improvement from the first game, definitely, but a different direction. And I'm hoping that they definitely take all of this, and when they make Hammerwatch 3 or they make a spin-off game based on this stuff, I think it's really cool. I do love the D&D aspect of it. I do love the fantasy. The combat is good when it gets good. Other than that, it's kind of a mixed bag of lots of thing. So without the way, thank you guys so much for checking out my review of Hammerwatch 2. This game is once again, developed by Crackshell, published by Modus Games. The game is currently out and available on PC, Steam, so check it out if you're really interested. And let me know what you think of the review in the comments below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bells to be notified as I go live, and you can follow me on Twitter at GetSilius and Twitch.tv GetSilius when I stream live and play a bunch of other cool indie games like this as well. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one.